It has been a long time since I talked about Star Wars on this channel. Now, I may have talked about it on the Fandom Collective channel or on a couple of other channels as guests during streams and whatnot, but it's been a while since I voiced it here, so I thought I'd just let you guys know where I'm at with Star Wars as of late, because, to be honest, I am just completely disinterested as far as actual interest, which is unfortunate because I grew up freaking loving this stuff. Like most people, they grew up with Star Wars and sequel trilogy comes around and it's just like, oh, you're really trying to do that? Okay. And I know people had their issues with the prequels, but I feel like it still has a lot of positives over the negatives here and there. I'm not going to say that they're great films because, yeah, I'm aware they do have a ton of their flaws, but, you know, the debates on those are one thing compared to the ones in the sequel trilogy area. But anyway, so to get more specific here, because, you know, I could just, like, with many people, like, a lot of people don't like Star Wars right now, sure. So I'm not trying to just say that in this video. I'm trying to at least clarify on my perspective for why I'm disinterested but why I still might talk about some aspects here or there in the future, because in a way, me not wanting to talk about it for a while has gotten me to think about different aspects of Star Wars, which is its universe. That's the thing with the current Star Wars stuff that I am completely detached from. They keep on telling all these stories inside of these time frames that I don't care about, and they keep on introducing characters that are just not that interesting. I don't want to invest time getting to know any of them. They have just been a complete turnoff. Even just continuing stuff that should have stopped a while ago. Like even when they introduced the last season of the Clone Wars, which I think was already filmed before Disney bought it. I'm not sure the specifics on how that worked, but you know, even if that wasn't Disney influenced, if that was all before Disney, it's just I kind of liked not having that out. I liked the idea of how it ended with the Clone Wars. It didn't end with some huge finale thing. It was just kind of a casual ending where it's not that big. It wasn't this huge climactic thing. It didn't go into the movies directly. It left a little bit of room with a little bit of mystery with the characters that it introduced. And in their show Rebels, I was not a big fan of that show either. In general, it's just kind of average at best, and you know, stuff that was whatever. But there were some moments that I thought was done all right. Like, I don't really like the character of Ahsoka, but I did like in the show Rebels how she confronted Vader, and you know, she was his apprentice and everything, and then he basically kills her in that episode, and I thought that was a really good idea. But then I guess somehow she comes back to life with some time travel bullcrap, and then she's in the Mandalorian and all that, and just like I don't care. That's just okay. Wow, take all these moments that have some meaning and impact and take it away. Tatooine, for example, is like this huge central point now, when it seemed like it was just like a place that is kind of out there where not that much would take place here. It's just kind of like a miracle that wow, Anakin and Luke are from this planet, and you know they're these two significant characters, and that's pretty much its main use. It's just in the outskirts, and that's what it was for. But now they're like making it this central point where all these events are happening, and it's like you have such a rich universe. Why are you just staying here on this little desert planet? And that kind of a thing really annoys me, because what I love most about Star Wars is its rich world. When I was younger, when I was in middle school, pretty much at the end of elementary school, going into middle school, I had a huge crave for writing stuff. It drove my English teachers crazy because I'd be trying to write, like the assignment would be to write 3 paragraphs about something, and I would be writing like 3 or more pages of stuff because of all these ideas that I have. And Star Wars was a huge influence for these ideas because of the amount of planets you can go to, the amount of different species that exist in that world, the amount of different like abilities and skill sets you can have, the different technologies. There's so much there that you can do and tell stories with. It's freaking awesome. I mean, you could have a Star Wars movie take place on one planet and it could be very interesting. Depends on what you do with the story, of course. Just like with Tatooine, you know, you could have something interesting happening there, but they're really struggling to get that going, I suppose. But I don't know. It's just, you know, in general, I don't know what to get out of Star Wars anymore, other than looking back at what it did really well. Like looking back through the prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, even if there's something in the sequel trilogy that was done well. Like there is at least one thing in the sequel trilogy that I thought was okay. It was the introduction to Rey. like before she has any speaking lines or does anything, she's just kind of doing her day to day, and she's scavenging in that ship, and she's scrubbing off parts, and you're kind of getting the idea of her character before we actually get to know her at all. That kind of a thing is something that I enjoyed with the sequel trilogy, but that's again a fleeting moment kind of a thing. So, I mean, there's aspects that I could talk about, and I'm a huge space guy in general. I like learning about astrobiology and topics of that nature with space, the different types of things. I don't want to just say astronomy because I think that accounts more to stars and space in general, but I guess planetary stuff and moons and like the way that life or environments might be able to form on planets, and like astrobiologists, astrophysicists trying to look into that stuff sometimes, and what we've discovered in the real world compared to what we've made up in these other worlds and different fictions, Stargate, Star Wars, Star Trek, all of that. Some of the real stuff we've discovered are different than those. As I'm talking now, and probably repeated myself a few times, I am realizing it is difficult for Star Wars fans to like fully give up on being interested in Star Wars, because as stale as I am for it, again, there are still aspects that interest me in some way, shape, or form. Like even the toys, for example. Like I used to collect some of the action figures, and when I say collect, I wasn't a collector. I played with the toys when I was a kid, and I liked how a lot of them functioned. And some of the characters that I picked out, I didn't even know their names or didn't really know what role they have in the grander plan of things with the universe. Like Kit Fistu, for one, it's just like, dude, it's just some green tentacle head dude. Keanu Moody's got this thing. Their designs were unique, and as a kid, I just picked them up and boom, loved them. And then I look at the current toys that they have for a lot of these other characters, and they all just look very bland. At most, a few of them look shiny, and that's about all they got going for them. There's not much other attachment to them. Who the hell would want a Snoke toy? I don't know. The amount of video games they have for Star Wars is awesome. I mean, there's a lot of awesome video games for Star Wars, but considering, again, the type of worlds that are in Star Wars and the amount of species, technologies, all this stuff, I would think there'd be more innovative games now. I mean, especially since in the last like 10 years, there's been just like maybe a couple of different Star Wars video games released. I would think they could do a lot more. You could go to different planets and have different ability. I mean, you travel some planets in some of the games, sure, and have some missions where you do some unique things. Force Unleashed had a lot of cool Force things you can do, and I haven't played Fallen Order yet, or Battlefront 2, the latest ones, or whatever. It's like, but from what I can see, what I've seen in the game footage, and what just seems like it's pretty generic for the most part. Maybe a few extra bonus things that are kind of cool, but just not that great. So, yeah, I guess its potential to make interesting content is what I like. But, again, I just don't think they'll really make that much interesting stuff. The Kenobi trailer came out a little bit ago, and well, when I say a little bit ago, a couple days ago, a couple weeks ago. There's another one that dropped yesterday, I think. So, at least the time of the recording of this video. And it just screams bland to me, because we're just, again, going into this world, and the concept of following the Jedi, having fallen, and the rise of the Empire, and Obi-Wan and his isolation are great ideas. Those could be great stories to take a look at if they're done right, but I just don't think, based on the trailer, that it's going to be all that interesting. It just looks like a just regular type of thing that Disney would make, and there's nothing that's going to be that surprising in it. There's going to be nothing that's that amazing in it. We're probably going to walk out of it going, wow, Obi-Wan kind of sucks, rather than, oh yeah, Obi-Wan's cool. Kind of like with Boba Fett. You thought Boba Fett was cool? Watch his show. You won't think so anymore based on that. So, yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at with it. I apologize if I repeated myself quite a few times here or didn't really elaborate on some of the points I was trying to make. So I'm just thinking of this on the fly. Usually I'm more of a script person or have notes, but I'm just kind of talking out of my ass right now with this. And yeah, just giving my thoughts on it. And yeah, I'm thinking, so I guess the whole point, the whole round out ending of the video, the outro of the video here, is that I'm not going to have that much cover. I'm not going to have any coverage of Star Wars on this channel. when Kenobi comes out, I'm probably going to watch it so that I can discuss it with a couple of fellow YouTubers because I do like the discussion. And as a person who wants to be a filmmaker and is getting more ingrained with film and watching good films, I think it's also good to watch some bad stuff here and there. Now, again, I don't know if it's going to be 100% bad. This show might surprise me. It might surprise me and be fantastic. I don't know. But I just am expecting, my expectations are low and I'm expecting it to be bad. So even if it's bad, though, there is stuff that I can benefit from watching it to see how they did something bad, how they might have had an idea that almost works, and then if you just did this thing, it would have been good, but you did this instead. I get a lot of benefit out of that. And then discussing it with other people, like when we were discussing the Book of Boba Fett stuff, the guys I was discussing it with, Black Angus and Flipped Out, they were liking it in the beginning of the show. I was just not liking it from the start with each episode. But then there's a couple episodes that they didn't like, and there's a few things in the show, like by the time they had the Mandalorian arrive in there, which I don't like the Mandalorian, but in his episode, there's a lot of interesting things in that episode. When I say a lot, I mean like three. But for Star Wars these days, that is a lot. But yeah, that's all for this video, basically. If I'm going to make content on this channel with Star Wars, I'm not guaranteeing that I will. But if it is, it'll probably be trying to look at other aspects of Star Wars, like its planetary stuff, scenes that it did really well, and just really just go in and talk about them. Because I know a lot of other channels have talked about Star Wars to hell and back, but I don't know. I haven't heard some specific things said about some scenes, so I'm going to talk about them and see what I can come up with. So with that, see you guys later.